And we are live. How is everybody doing today? We have a brand new group. The I can't even say it right. Profiler Task Force. I focus my mind not to say something, so of course I'm going to say that. That's a psychological issue that most people will probably know who are following this. I'm going to go around the lot, and just so I can keep things straight, I'm going alphabetical order by first name. So we'll start with Janine.
Oh, I'm
Tell us about yourself.
Tell me, oh my God, I saw the comments about my ADD was giving other people ADD. And I saw what you wrote, Eric. You're like, yeah, sometimes it wasn't easy to interview Janine. So why don't we start?
I did not say that.
You kind of did. You kind of did.
Oh.
I do. I have diagnosed ADHD. I think it leads to my humor and being quick on my feet. And as we talked about in our show before, I used to do stand-up. And my comedy coach, a guy named Tim Davis, who's the manager at Stand Up New York at 78th and Broadway in New York, used to say to me, listen, you're not going to make any money in comedy, Driver. You want to use comedy with motivation and education. Take this shit you're learning from ATF, add some motivational shit to it, and be funny, and you'll make a shit ton of money. And, every now and then, Steve Jobs said, Eric and ladies, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. And there's like these little moments in life where someone said or did something that years later, I couldn't make sense of it while it was happening, but years later, it all came together. So for me, my background's law enforcement, ATF, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. I have a sticky joke I always say. I'm not going to say it here. You'll have to watch your show, your interview with me before to get.
Yeah, you become your hobbyist, your career.
Yeah, right. So I worked for ATF for 17 years. My specialty is firearms trafficking, but I can't shoot a gun for shit. I think our country's going to go into a revolution. So I just said to a friend of mine 2 days ago, I'm like, hey, want to take some firearms shooting classes with me? Lena knows how to shoot guns. She's from the military. I don't know shit about them. I know how to tell if you're illegally trafficking them, how the patterns to look for. I did the white collar crime side. And my life's mission, Eric and ladies, is to inspire people to look at their world in a different way. And I've had some bad shit happen when I was a kid, and I'd like to think I'm a pretty positive person. And I was molested as a kid. A guy tried to kidnap me at 15. I was molested at 6 or 7. A guy tried to kidnap me at 15, which is crazy shit. Like when it's part of your life, you just assume like all this stuff happens to people. Evidently, not everyone's been almost kidnapped by a psychopath at 5:30 in the morning when you're on your bike.
It is a rarity.
So, but I think that we've all had those moments in life where we were sucker punched or blindsided and we didn't see something coming, a threat or a danger. And to stop beating up on yourself. It happens to me. It happens to the ladies here, my fellow profilers. So if you've been bamboozled or screwed or scammed or been cheated on or lied to, or there's literally systems that are in place for people to scam us. And give yourself a break. I'm sure the ladies will tell you they've all been bamboozled at some point, and it changes your life for good. But for me, I try to keep it positive. So I'm here to have fun. I'm loving being with this ensemble of badass women. I talk way too much. So off to whoever's next in the alphabet. I'm so glad for the people who are watching. Thanks for watching. My name's Janine Driver. I'm glad you're here.
Lena.
All right, first, Janine, I'm going to teach you how to shoot my favorite weapon, which is a Desert Eagle 50 cal pistol. And people are going to say, what is she compensating for? Because it's a ridiculous pistol. But I did. Yeah, just a little bit. But I also have 45s in my favorite. Anyway, we'll go shooting. Second, I have also been diagnosed with a disease, and it's called the Energizer Bunny disease. So I go a mile a minute, no matter who knows me. They're always saying, you're just like the Energizer Bunny. I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm going to take it as a compliment, but I don't really know. About me. So former interrogator, I had no plans on going into the military. And lo and behold, life just guided me along to this route. And I found myself in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, interrogating Al-Qaeda and Taliban. And it just launched me into a whole nother career, which I was meant to do because my whole purpose to what I do to this day is to stop bad people from doing bad things. So I'm all about catching people who are trying to manipulate people, hurt people, and do a whole bunch of other bad stuff and lock them up. So that's what I do.
Michelle.
Me, I'm an artist, and my whole goal in life was to be a rich and famous artist, and it took a lot longer than I thought. And I'm not rich, I'm not famous, but along the way, I became a handwriting expert just because I found it a fascinating field about how much you could tell about a person just from their handwriting. Eventually, I was called into the police department, and they asked me to try to help them with some cases. And I'm like, well, I'm an artist, but I'll try to help you. Well, case after case after case, I would just tell them exactly what that had handwriting, exactly what they're looking for, what they needed to do. And luckily for me, I was right. And eventually, I was sponsored by the district attorney's office and the police department to attend this U.S. Secret Service document training program. When I was there, I was the only civilian that was asked to go to an advanced course at the U.S. Secret Service. And my goal really is to help people. I can look at handwriting. I can tell you exactly what's happening, what you need to do, what might take somebody years in therapy. I can tell them within like 10 minutes of looking at their handwriting. And that's me.
Awesome. Susan.
First of all, disclaimer, because I have lawyers all over the way. You know what you're getting into. It's not complain after if you get defective, psychological affected by us being with you, Eric. You need to say it. Yes, I agree.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay. My name is Susan Ibitz. I'm a human behavior hacker. Some people hack computers. I hack humans. And like all the ladies have a background, I was diagnosed with highly dyslexia when I was 18. I was told that I was disabled. So that's when I packed my backpack due to my dad kicking my ass. And I went around the world trying to learn from anyone then I can take knowledge from. Lena was one of my teachers. My role in this amazing group that I'm part of, then still I don't know what the heck I'm doing here, is I'm the profiler face reader. Beside that, I do microexpression, body language, forensic linguistic, statement content analysis, personality types, and I work with lawyers. I'm a civilian hostile negotiator, and I train hostile negotiators and how to better profile and be safe. I work with lawyers, sales reps, realtors, and managers and professionals who try to understand how other people better understand, and they need to communicate because it's not how you want to communicate, it's how other people need to receive the information. And my role in this team is I'm not going to be a host. I'm the tech person. So I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to block the camera and wait for the ladies to take the show. I'm the tech person. And by the way, I just get out of the work, Looney Tunes. So yeah, I'm the clown. I think Janine and I were the clown of the team. Lena's the captain and Michelle is the serious one.
All right.
By the way, my nickname is Skull, and I hope it's wine, it's tea. So I call it Skull, so my nickname is Skull. So welcome to the club, if you like it.
Your nickname is Skull?
My nickname is Skull. Okay, wait a minute. I have tattoo skulls. I have decoration, and my shoes and my ring have skulls on it. It's called coherent. Okay, you can be crazy, but when you're coherent and crazy, it's not a diagnostic. It's a personality type.
Listen, Susan, when you have the last name Driver, you don't need any extra nicknames. Like my friends, when we were in college and we'd get drunk, they would always call me. They'd say, "Janine, you can't drink tonight." I'd be the designated driver. So my nickname was Desi. So they would call me Desi for designated driver. That's so funny.
No, they call me Skull.
I love that.
Yeah, not because I'm dark. It's because the skull actually holds the most important muscle of your body, the brain. People think it's a dark thing behind that, but actually it's like who holds the most important muscle in your body. You lose this, you lose everything. Please shoot me if I lose this. Kind of in the middle of that, but still some fate on it.
Well, I think with all of us, our brain and our bodies are connected. And in a little bit, that's what every single one of us does, how the brain and body and everything connects. And I like the skull holding. And I might get a skull now that you explained it. I like it.
It's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I say it's how the body and brain talk to one another. They're constantly.
How the body and brain talk.
I only want to make a statement, because I know it's going to come at some point. The only reason we are together is because we have a shit ton of fun And that's the reason the show is going to be amazing, because the first testing we did, people have fun with us, and us, we have fun with the people. So we enjoy the meetings. Michelle is the time taker. Lena is the keepers in control. And Janine and I, we try to lift the hand to talk. But basically, we have fun. And we hope that you have fun too. We don't take too seriously ourselves, but we take seriously all the topics that we talk, because the idea of this show is to help. So don't take our like maybe funny way to deal with we deal, because what we do in our professional life is really hardcore and heavy, and we cope with humor. So it's an invitation to have fun with us, so you can be part of the fun, but doesn't mean that we're not going to take seriously every topic that we're going to do. Because I was asking for somebody like, oh, it's going to be a funny show. Like, no, we are funny, but the topics are really serious, and they're going to help you to protect yourself, your asset, and your family from the story of things who have happened before and happened today. Girls, what is your opinion?
I agree.
Yeah, we always talk about, Eric, we always say the story behind the story. You know, we're going to pull back that shower curtain and see, like, what's the story behind the story? You know, even if you think about Susan Smith, who drowned her 2 kids because she was dating a guy that no longer wanted to date a girl with kids, right? She was the monster, right? The mother monster, Susan Smith, in the early 90s before Casey Anthony came along. And if you did a little research into Susan Smith was molested, raped by her father from a young age as a little toddler. And when she was in her teens, in her young 20s, she would go back and have sex with her dad. Like, I'm not saying that that's an excuse for her killing her kids, but I'm saying there's always the story behind the story. And anytime we talk about heavy topics, levity, I'm dirty. I say I'm the swearing Christian in the group here. And I'm a little edgy and a little
cursing Christian.
The cursing Christian. I'm a good
I'm
Christian.
the good girl.
I'm the Jewish cursing. I eat bacon. Sorry, mazel tov.
I have a sailor's mouth.
Sana Tova.
Yeah, we're a little swearing group here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, really quickly, because we've got to get everybody involved here. I need to speak out.
Good luck with that.
Well, there is that, but we are dependent on people asking questions. That's the whole idea of this. So I am hoping that in the chat, everybody, please ask questions of whatever you want. And I expect things may get crazy, so definitely make sure that they look like a question, because the statement I'm probably going to ignore unless it's like a funny joke or something. I might put it in, but if I don't see a question mark on the end of it, I might go, okay, and then move on. But I hope you guys all have questions. We're going to be free form like we already are, you can tell. And let's start off with just a very basic. Each one of you brings in your own specialty, even though you're all multidiscipline. I am going to label you, and then you guys can correct me on that. And I'm just going to go in visual order now. But Lena, statement analysis, interrogation, and negotiation, probably. Would that be your lane?
That's my lanes. You got it. You did good, Eric.
Oh gosh. Janine, body language, presentation, and movement analysis.
Yeah. Movement pattern analysis. We move in a pattern.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine. It's new. No one's ever heard of it before. MPA, movement pattern analysis. We call it a fingerprint. So good job.
Well, thank you. Michelle, handwriting extraordinaire. You're so far above in it that you just kind of, you don't need to do the other, I know you do body language as well.
I actually do a little bit of all the others, but I specialize in the handwriting.
Okay.
So sometimes with handwriting, you need to know statement analysis. And so I've done it all, but I'm going to learn from everybody else in the group.
Okay. And Susan is insanity, manic situation. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait. Look the back. You see? It's seriously. I take my jokes seriously too, as my work.
Yeah, that's her consistency.
Every show she'll be in a different costume is what Susan.
Yes.
Oh boy. So she's both the show and the mascot. So
I love that.
Face reading is, I know that Susan also does statement analysis and everything pretty much.
Yeah.
Face reading is kind of her specialty with the show, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and I want to clarify something because I have 3 reasons why people want to see the show. To see what 4 women doing cold cases, because most women do talk show, and anything against that, I have been a guest and I love it. But it's the first time the 4 females for tape A, let's be clear, tape A, 4 tape A get together. Second of all, I have people says, I cannot wait for you taking your eyes out, like it's not gonna happen. And third one is like, it's mind-blowing that they see from the women perspective, and all of us can be a step on each other for what we're doing. But since the beginning, we were really clear and like, what is our strong suit, and respect that. Never ever, neither on the first episode testing the show was like, oh, I'm gonna be all over your place if you don't invite me on. So everybody can do everything, but it's a respect, intrinsic respect behind the camera that maybe people expecting to be us fighting each other. Everybody have their personality, and we're gonna be doing our thing. And at some point, I'm guess we're gonna jump in one topic with the same things, but everybody have their specialty, and we're respecting that. It's the only show around the world where you have all the behavioral specialties together to analyze in the same case. So people do one channel, another channel, but it's the only show around the world. You have all the channels together, so it's going to be freaking mind-blowing.
Listen, this is what I say. Ready? You want to learn about micro expressions? Go to Dr. Paul Ekman, right?
Yeah.
You want to learn about statement analysis? You go to Mark McGlish. Or body language? You might go to Joe Navarro, retired FBI agent. Right. What I say is, David Matsumoto for emotions, right? So David Matsumoto and Dr. Paul Ekman, their emotions, right? The 7 universal emotions: happiness, sadness, fear, surprise, anger, contempt, disgust. I say they're the bread. Then you go to someone like Mark McGlish with statement analysis, right? He is the yeast. And then you go to someone else with face reading, the expert on face reading, some dude or woman in China, right? They're the stove. Then you go to someone with the handwriting, who's the specialist in the world ever, maybe the man or woman who invented it, right? They're the sugar, right? I go, we're the bread. We're the end product. We're the bread. We're the iPhone. You don't need to know all the pieces it took to put it together. You want to know, how can I use it to make my life better, to protect my family, my friends, and my finances? We are the bread. So if you're looking for
we are the bundle. Okay, you bundle it, like you have everything in one, like you have all of them. And a female perspective that people is like, oh, you're going to be talking about blood pattern and handwriting. Like, yeah, women can do that as well as everybody else. I think that the difference is like, you never met women profilers who can go deeper and dig on cases that usually is not well known for it. We're supposed to be talking about other things. Like, we can be serious, again, having fun with you, talking about serious cases, and we're good in what we do. And that's the reason we decide to get together to help you. But everybody's a specialty, so you're never going to find in any other place all the behavioral channels together, because even though everybody's especially one, because we know another one, we can add it in case something is missing. So it's going to be like having the Webster encyclopedia and your YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. You have a question, Eric? There's a question there, buddy.
You're looking better than me. I need to get new glasses.
This is literally, I think, what you guys have been answering. Is there a specific reason why this is a female-only group besides me, or just a coincidence? Well, these guys are a group who happen to be on my show. They are their own group, just to clarify on that.
You know what? I find it interesting because if you get a group of 5 men or 3 men or 2 men, this question is never friggin' asked. And I got to tell you, it's very irritating to me. And no offense to the reader, because you're one writer, because you're one of millions of people who are asking us this question. It's like when you see, I love this interview with Scarlett Johansson. She's interviewed about being a superhero, and everyone's asking how she lost weight to fit in the costume and if she wears underwear in the costume. But then they ask her co-host, question about which was your hardest line to memorize, and it's we happen to be the best. We happen to be 4 women. And if we were 4 white men sitting here, no one would ask how come, or very few people, how come it's not 50% women. It happens a lot. We just happen to be the best, and we just happen to be women. So you can see on our website, we don't promote, we don't call ourselves the super chicks. We call ourselves profilers. We are the profilertaskforce.com. It has nothing to do with us being women. It just so happens we happen to be the best.
Just so happens we happen to be great. What can we do, right?
And by the way,
we have grown up with each other. I mean, we have all interconnected and worked with each other in roundabout ways for years. And I trust these 3 ladies with my life, and I learn from them. So it's almost like we gelled together. You know,
right? And we're all different.
I'm sorry.
We're all very different, and I like that. I'm sorry if someone was talking, but I like the fact that we're very different. We have different personalities, and we approach things differently. But together, I'm going to give a compliment to these 3. I am so used to working with people who are very slow. They say, "I'll get to it." A month later, they're sort of getting to it. I'm like, "Can you hurry it up?" All I know is that I've been telling my friends, I am working with these 3 wonderful women, and they say something will be done by 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, it's all done. And I'm like, how did you get all that done? And they say they'll do something, and they do it. I've never been with people who are this together and yet what they do, what they say they're going to do. And I love it.
Yeah. You know, Michelle, real quick,
I look for the half of the glass full. And Seth says, while we are only for women, it's like, what about if we start empowering women that we can do it all too, and we can have in any level. So it's not about gender, it's about brain. Again, skull. It's not that we are 4 females. There are 4 brains. You're not going to find another way. So you're going to put it that way. There are 4 brains who happen to be on the top of what they feel they do, and they decide to get together. Our gender is part of the joke that we do, that everybody's expecting to kill each other. But at the end, it's 4 brains coming together to resolve and helping you. So it's not a gender thing. It's about helping you. So if you see this like we leaving guys behind, like it's not.
All right, listen. Michelle and I were up for a TV show over 10 years ago. We auditioned for it. They were doing a pilot for it. Where did we meet, Michelle? Was it in New York?
We met in New York City.
On the set of a TV show.
On the set, and we did. It was still a great idea. It's a dating show where we were going to use handwriting to put people together and body language to put people together. It's still a great idea. We still should do it, but anyhow, that's how I met Janine. Yeah,
so Lena and I worked together for years, and then Lena and I were just up for a show. We had a show. We even had a deal with the production company. They changed the CEO of the company. I mean, we killed it. Remember that interview? It was the weirdest interview, Lena, right? They were sitting across from on Zoom. They were sitting across from this table like we were in $1 billion mansion. They were like 80 feet away from the camera as they're interviewing me and Lena. They're like, I know. Like, we would like to know. We're like, what is this? So
like, a little closer.
We've been together for some time, and we happen to love each other. We have other people in our world that are men that we love and respect. As a matter of fact, there's another show out there for body language experts that we love called the Behavioral Panel. We love them. Big shout out to them. We've trained with both of them. I'm in one of the guys' books, Mark Bowden. Lena's good friends with one of the guys. So this is a different show. We have 4 different modalities. We're all trained in a little bit of the same. And we'd love some questions about some cases out there so we can show you our.
Well, we're working.
Wait a minute. The only thing they cannot do. Wait, the only thing they cannot do is walking in these high heels.
Well, they could.
I guarantee you, Mark can.
I have a child. If you can walk in these high heels, let's talk about it.
I promise.
I can't
Mark
walk in
can do it. I promise
So do we have any questions, Eric?
You see, Michelle is the time taker.
I'm the time. Okay. Any questions, Eric?
That's right.
We have several. All right. Hi, ladies and Eric. Question for Michelle. See, she knew her name was coming up. With practice, I can copy a signature and replicate it every time. However, my own signature seems to change every time I do it. Could you suggest the reason?
Yes. First of all, no signatures are exact, no handwriting, when you write it, it's never exactly the same. If you find handwriting, if I find a signature and it's exactly the same as another signature of that person, it's a copy. Just like a snowflake, every time you write, it is slightly different. You may think you can copy a signature, but I would catch you as a forger. But the reason your signature changes, we are all who we are, but we're Michelle a little angry, Michelle a little happy, Michelle a little tired. Every time you write is going to look slightly different. If it doesn't, it's a copy. Did I answer your question? I hope. Well, he's not there. I hope I answered your question.
Well, Michelle, one of my favorite things I'd love for you to share, kind of piggybacking off that comment, was I learned about this felon's claw thing a long time ago. And I noticed my handwriting change when I was about 17 years old. And someone said to me, how old were you when you lost your virginity? I said 17. I go, how did you know to ask me that question? What is the felon's claw? What is that?
A felon's claw looks like if you do a Y or a G and it has a hook at the bottom. So there's a hook. Mm-hmm. That hook, and I hate to tell you this, but when you lost your virginity, there's a guilt. That for you. There's a little hook in it. And when people do it, it means that they feel guilty about something deep down. You'll find a felon's claw in almost like 70% of people who are in prison. You look at graffiti, there will be these hooks. Hooks can also come when you have arthritis. So we never know, are you a felon or are you arthritic? But it will look like a little hook at the end. And you'll find it in people who always sort of get themselves in trouble because they do things, they feel guilty, and then they do things to perpetuate some bad situation so they can say, see, it didn't work. I knew it.
Thank God I'm Jewish. So I don't have guilt.
Michelle,
good.
My handwriting is very flowy, right? And it's rounded edges. But I have noticed that when I get super stressed or angry and I start to write, it's jagged, very jagged.
Yes.
Why?
Right. And I did this on Eric's other show. I made people, and if everybody out there in whatever land, YouTube land, if you make angles like that, you're tight, you're angry, you're hostile. Okay. You cannot make a curve when you're feeling angry.
Wow.
So when you see handwriting and it's all these angles, it's hostile, aggressive. I tell people, if you need to relax, let's say you're feeling so tense or your anxiety is getting the best of you, make circles with your arm and it's going to relax you. And so somebody who is a very circular handwriting are those calm, sweet little, oh yeah, can I take care of your baby? Yeah. So if you're feeling tense, let's say you're writing and you're all angular, just take your hand and make big curves in the air, and it will make your blood pressure go down.
You know, in the movement pattern analysis world, MPA, we all have a movement pattern pattern we move in. We call it a behavioral fingerprint. It's just as unique as a snowflake, like you were saying earlier, Michelle. We say when you're angry, you bind. Right. So you bind. Your body binds. Your hands bind.
How about fear, Janine? Fear. How about fear? Because I could picture fear binding you as well.
Well, fear shows up in different ways, right? So some fear people can collapse, right? Like I know a friend of mine was robbed and by gunpoint, and the gun was in his face, and he just got really passive. He turtled his head. He got really passive, and the guy holding the gun was like this. And so my friend Chris was like, "It's okay, breathe." He didn't know if he was telling himself to breathe or the guy holding the gun in his face to breathe, but that if he could relax, maybe the guy holding the gun would relax. So fear can show up in different ways, but this anger is we bind. And the interesting thing about binding, if you're the type of person that binds a lot, you actually will be the kind of person that notices other things that other people may not notice. You could be walking on the beach and say, wow, it's 5 degrees warmer over here than over there. Or look, that building has an owl on the top of it now. That wasn't there yesterday. And you're like, How do you notice that? And so this is, in my world, we call it identifying. So you can identify with your environment, the temperature, people, things that are going on, and you'll engage in it. So if you're a high identifier, you're seen as someone who's childlike in nature, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's the people who bind can see this stuff, and the people who are always like this, hey, everybody, like very flowy. Yeah. So this is like identifying, they're seeing stuff. And so it makes sense that they could get even more angry. So I say, if you're binding, you cannot be angry. Like Michelle was saying, you can't make the loops. You cannot be angry and be free flowing. So I say, if you can't giggle it off, wiggle it off.
One question to Michelle. What happened when you are in a phone conversation and you do round circles or square figures? Is it different? Okay, this is my free therapy today. What is the difference?
Okay. Are you saying when you're doodling?
Yes, like when you doodle, like you having a phone conversation in a Zoom meeting and you start doing square figures, like define, or we doodles, like doing circles and like flowers and things. Is it different in that?
Circles, you're probably more relaxed. And circles are more feminine. It's a more feminine feeling, but it's a relaxed feeling. And frankly, while you're, people always say, oh, I was talking and somebody was doodling. When you doodle, you will remember what that person says way more than if you just sit there and listen. So for you, who's, you're listening in your mind, you're pretty like your mind is racing. So it calms you down and makes you remember what that person is saying. When you do more angles, more boxes, that's actually a little bit more masculine, a little more technical. And sometimes it may even depend on the conversation you're having, what type of thing you doodle. But the curves that you make are actually to keep you kind of calm while that person is talking.
Should I ask more of my therapist for the money back?
Yeah,
I need to review my notes.
I'll take care of it all.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it.
That Janine said about fear when she was talking about that whole binding. So a lot of us, Eric, who talk to other people, especially in my line of work, when I'm interviewing someone or interrogating them, I have to make sure that they're calm. They don't have any stress because I need them to trust me and to open up. So there's a thing called emotional contagion or mirror neurons, which is basically people can adapt your behavior and demeanor. So whenever you go to have a conversation with someone, make sure you check yourself. You've got to be confident. You've got to be calm. Maybe you have to doodle. Maybe you have to make circles, whatever it is. You have to set it up so the other person all of a sudden starts to de-stress with you. Because if they're going to get amped up, and you get amped up, you're just going to spiral together out of control. So every time that we go to talk to someone, we have to check ourselves and make sure 4, 7, 8 deep breath, make sure I'm calm and confident because I need to settle the person down. And they'll start to mimic your behavior and demeanor.
This you guys, I don't know if you all have heard of Dr. Dan Siegel. If not, Google him. Get him on your show, Eric. Dr. Dan Siegel, he's the doctor that talks about name it to tame it. If you name your emotions. So when you're highly emotion, you're up here in the amygdala and the downstairs brain. But to get back in the upstairs brain, if you name your emotion, you'll still be pissed or angry or sad. But once you say, I am sad, now you start using your, right up here, your neocortex, your upstairs brain, right? But anyway, so what he says, what Lena was just talking about, is he tells a story about his own son when he was a newborn baby. And now he's like this doctor that teaches all this stuff, right? The baby's crying, the baby's crying. Dr. Dan Siegel is very calm, comforting the baby's crying, trying to comfort the baby, baby's crying, the baby's crying. What happens to Dr. Dan Siegel? He starts getting pissed because he can't comfort the baby. So the baby's anxiety, because Dr. Dan Siegel can't comfort his own son, and he knows this amygdala is firing right here, right? He knows this logically, but it was such an awakening that the longer it took to comfort him, the more irritated he became. So this happened to me this morning, homeschooling my youngest son, Jack, who's 5, almost 6. He drew on the rug. And when he drew on the rug, I was like, Jack. And then he drew on the floor. And I was like, Jack. And by the third thing that he did, I lost my cool, and I know better. And so I like to do a reset. So I said to Jack, sometimes mommies need time out. Jack was out of control, not listening. And then ultimately I mirrored him. I became out of control, but I should know better. And I love this guy named Dr. David Matsumoto just said to me yesterday in a webinar, he said, the ideal excellence is like, think of it like an athlete, high stress, high heart rate, boom, 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 and logical thinking high at the same time. If you can have both of those things happen at the same time, that's where excellence is. And I'm an eternal student on trying to work on that. And I got to tell you, I fail more often than I win. But every day I get a little closer to saying, okay, what am I going to do next time? So Jack being out of control is not going to ultimately, I'm going to end up mirroring him subconsciously because I can't get him to cooperate. And so even my little 5-year-old is influencing then my behavior. And I know this stuff. So, you know, Dr. Wayne Dyer said, when you know better, do better.
You know what? I happened the same with animal. I took one of my cats to the vet and the cat says, your cat showing a stress sign, but it's not your cat, it's you. So he write me something funny in the prescription. This is for you. Like, and for the cats, he's going to be okay as soon as you're okay. And I realized like it was my death anniversary. All my family was all over the place. I'm like, holy cow, I didn't realize. So we are influencing everybody out there and everybody's influencing us. And what you says about Matsumoto, he came up in 2009 discovering that blind people have the same micro expression and body language that is freaking crazy than people who has been born blind and not blind, that this is coded. So maybe you're not consciously know what you're reading, but sometimes people is not acting, they're reacting to us. And sounds always like you says like it was like click in your head. I'm like, wait a minute, these people is reacting or acting to what I'm doing. Let's check myself on the mirror before I point in someone to be mad. Maybe I'm giving the wrong signals. And that is really important when I start training and do keynote speaking. I'm like, okay, that's what I did stand-up comedy. Know your level, Janine. Just did 6 months and I was kicked out. But that helped me to relax, to engage with people and start having fun with them. And I found out like, I'm not a comic, but I can be silly and quirky, and that is a way to be funny. And I started enjoying the process to do it instead to like, oh my God, I need a balloon. I cannot do it. Like, go for it. Because unconsciously I was putting that barrier with people that people do not connect with me because I wasn't connecting with them.
Well, that's emotional intelligence, right? Self-awareness. And we're all 4 of us are constantly working on it.
Constantly.
Janine, I have a question. I know with handwriting, you can change your handwriting and it'll actually chemically change you and you will change. If, example, you get angry with somebody and you're aware of it and you go, wait, I need the body language of a calm person, and you force your body to be calm, will you react differently? That's
100%. 100%. As a matter of fact, the body, we always know about the brain influencing the body, but the body has just as much power to influence the brain.
Right.
So if you say if you dope yourself up on caffeine, this is iced tea, right? So you dope yourself up on caffeine. Just like your body is going to begin to race, guess what happens? Your brain begins to have racing thoughts. So if you dope your caffeine to get that meeting because you didn't sleep well last night, but Susan and I are night owls. We're up to 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and we're kind of zombies the next day. We think we're powering through.
We exchange email at 4 o'clock in the morning.
But if I dope up on caffeine and now I get on this webinar, I already have ADHD, but now my brain is racing. So if your body can influence your brain, even if you just take some deep breaths. I like triangle breathing. A woman told me yesterday in a webinar, her daughter has massive anxiety working from home right now. And I said, she goes, I'm doing breathing exercises. I go, that's awesome. I go, do you know about triangle breathing? Do you all know about triangle breathing?
Yeah, tell us.
Do you know about triangle breathing?
No, teach us, please.
So if anyone listening in your show at home can just go to YouTube and put in triangle breathing. And so all it is a drawing of the triangle, and the triangle starts at nothing and it starts to grow. It stays there for a second and then deep disappears. And so they have a 1-minute triangle breathing or 3 minutes. And so you just breathe in as it gets bigger, but it's still growing. So you have to hold your breath for 4 seconds. In law enforcement, Lena and I, it's called tactical breathing. In for 4, I hold for 4, out for 4. In for 4, the triangle's getting bigger. You hold your breath, and then it starts getting smaller. And I made everyone in this webinar because this one woman's question. I opened up the app real quick. Well, there's apps too, but you can go to YouTube, put in triangle breathing. If you just simply, if you notice you're having a tough time or you're about to have a tough conversation, Michelle, do some triangle breathing because, and psychologists will tell you this, my friend Dr. Lisa Genova wrote this book called Still Alice, was turned into a movie called Still Alice on early onset Alzheimer's. Lisa told me, I said, what's the number one thing that we can do, Lisa, right now with COVID, in our lives in stress? And she said, breathe, because our brain and our body, it's trained to look for a tiger or a lion. And what happens? We either stop breathing or we have what? Adrenaline. So if you take a slow, deep breath, maybe do some triangle breathing for 1 minute, you are going to send the message to your brain, oh, I'm not being attacked by a lion. And now all of a sudden the chemicals, they call it this feedback loop. And because of COVID happening right now, it's never taking a pause. It's constantly being re-engaged. And so what we need to do, the number one thing right now is breathing and relaxing your body, and it relaxes your brain.
You can also do a 4-7-8 breath too. So you can just breathe in.
I do that.
Hold it for 7 and exhale for 8. You do 2 of those, it instantly checks your brain. Instantly. Right. So the first time I went on couples court, I was panicking, and I keynote speak, I do everything, but I was backstage. I'm like, oh my God, my heart. I'm like, I'm going to mess up. I can't do this. I'm freaking out. So I popped out of the chair they sat me in. I started walking around like this, and I was doing 4-7-8s. And the producers are like, what's wrong with our expert? There's something wrong with her. I'm like, just don't talk to me. Let me breathe. And all of a sudden I walked out and I was like, okay, there we go. And I was fine.
And everybody have their own cope mechanism. What I'm saying is, some people can breathe. What I do is like, I start stretching my limbs, and people like, what are you doing? Like, why are you holding the roof? Like, no, it's stretching my limbs, and like, I'm holding the roof and I'm breathing, and I breathe with my stomach instead with my lungs, because when I'm talking, I don't want to look fat in my dress. So I'm going to be breathing again from my lungs. Hey, ladies, everybody does the same. So I do that and calm myself. And I used to be like having panic attacks. My friends call me Houdini because I escape even from weddings for my friends, because I'm afraid to people. I don't like to, more than 2 is a crowd for me. So I used to have this panic attack. So I needed to learn like a deal with like being in camera, being in front of people, and I start having fun, but it took me longer. So one of the exercises that I do is like, okay, besides everybody's naked, everybody's in panic, everybody's more afraid than I am. And when I start finding that people is afraid to talk to me because I'm a professional, like, okay, I control my power, but everybody have their own cope mechanism. Whatever worked with you, use it. Nobody can criticize you. Everybody does the best they can with the tools they have. The only thing I always say is look for the right tools, look for the right trainer, be careful with the temples on the garage, those things that are not really working, but whatever helps you, if planting tomatoes and going for a walk and whatever is helping you, do it to feel better. Being an adrenaline high all the time, people think it's being aware. Actually, when you're an adrenaline high too much, actually it's blind your thoughts and blind your perspective, and that can kill you, give you a heart attack. So be aware that like, oh, I'm super aware all the time. Like, dude, slow down. You're going to have a heart attack and it's not working.
I like to go through car washes because fractals, repeating patterns like in waves or in a leaf or in clouds, if you just look at fractals for a minute, repeating patterns will decrease stress and anxiety like that. So if I'm stressed, I literally hop in my car and go through a car wash, and I just like meditate. It's crazy, but I open up my phone so I can see the bubbles coming. Work. In the cloud, and it's life changing. So my friends, when they come to visit from New York, they're like, "Can we go to the car wash right away?" And so now everyone's going anything, stopping and looking at clouds, looking at the patterns on a leaf. Google fractals to decrease stress, repeating patterns. And there's even apps to look at. So for me, I love to go to the car wash. I even have a subscription. So I have a scanner on my car, my dash, like the Uber drivers have, you know. I just drive through it. The gate opens up and I pay. Like
I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that to the car wash. But you
okay,
by
guys,
yourself.
I've got to get some questions in now.
Let's get some questions in.
We have us having fun.
I definitely,
Timer,
but
question.
I'd love to have some of the audience to have fun too.
I told you in the beginning, like, Eric, you need to swear there is not going to be a retaliation, psychological damage to anyone.
Okay. And we'll get Michelle back here. All right. Is the focus on face reading, I'm guessing, limited to the eyes, or is it the whole face? Are there areas where micro expressions matter without a feel for the person first?
Okay, I'm blind like a bat. So who is the question with? For I don't want to jump.
Dick Brown, Bowen.
Who's the micro expression one out of the bunch?
So I'm supposed to be answered. Okay, our face is the map to your brain. So micro expression is the GPS to the emotions who happen you want to withhold. Freud used to say in 1934, Penguin Publishing, go for it, that you can lie with your body, but some part of your body is going to give you away. Body language is what happened with your body when you try to withhold things. Face reading, it doesn't matter what is your micro expression, it doesn't matter what is your body, I can profile you by a picture. Your face is a map of a GPS to your brain. So it's a map of your life. I know your empathy, your pain, the way you intake information, the way you process information, the way you're going to talk to me, the way you're going to give the feedback, team player if you call with humor. So there are 235 features in your face that I can be reading.
Susan, give an example that someone can
you love the ears. Janine, love the ears. Like when I teach Janine the ears, I go crazy. We were talking about Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah Winfrey. So it says, well, Ellen DeGeneres have high ears, meaning that from the level of the eyes, if you draw a line, the ears were high. So it makes sense with Ellen DeGeneres. She was a comic. She's fast on the feet, and she wanna make it funny. Oprah Winfrey, I said to Janine, I'm sure Oprah Winfrey have low ears. She Googled and like, yes. When you have low ears, it's more about asking deeper question because it's a slow pace. So people with low ears is gonna need to take maybe a class or read a book longer or most time, but they're about doing it right. People with high ears is about to do it right now. So what happened is like, okay, you got the meeting, and 2 days you're gonna call the person with low ears and say, what the heck we was talking on the meeting? So because you process information really fast doesn't mean that you retain information really fast. So nothing is wrong or right. If I'm in a meeting where I don't get something, I'm gonna go with the high ears, like, can you explain me in another way what happened? Okay, because in 2 days, I'm going to explain you in another way. So your face, and when you hold in micro expression for a long time, they start making wrinkles. Wrinkles to me are not wrinkles. I don't see wrinkles. I don't see race. I don't see colors. I only see a map in your face. So when you hold a feeling for a long time, like smiling a lot, I'm going to see cross feet, meaning that you have empathy with others because you either smiling to comfort yourself or comforting other people. So the micro expression get a map in your face, and that's where I read them and says, you're a person who caught with humor. How you know? Because when you laugh, wrinkles get in the border of your nose and in your eyes. So crossfit are not bad. So be careful with overdoing Botox because it's proven. Girls tell me when you overdo Botox and you stop having crossfit, that's when this real smile happen. You start getting depressed because you forget what is the joy to smiling. And your kids have a problem with you, like, Mom, you're mad and happy and your face that haven't changed. Stop doing so much Botox. Hey, guilty, I do it. But be careful how you do it because you're avoiding your feelings. And the worst feelings you can avoid is being happy.
Susan, do you know if you have Botox a lot and your eyebrows can't go into fear up and straight across, that you cannot actually go into fear? Right? This fight or flight or freeze. So your brain says, oh, there's a person with a knife. I'm in danger.
You cannot act. You cannot defend yourself because you don't know what is fear.
Yeah. Adrenaline will not dump through your body from your brain. If your eyebrows going up is the trigger, up and straight across is the trigger. Dump adrenaline, get out of here, danger. So you can logically say, oh, wow, holy fuck, I'm in danger right here. And you're like, I don't know what to do with that. Because there's too much Botox.
Yeah, completely correct. So when I used to work with politicians and work with people who need to go to court and things like that, we do Botox to block some of the expression that are coming naturally and that you don't want the expression. But what I'm saying is don't overdo it. Do it maybe momentarily when you need some reaction, but if you overdo it, you stop seeing yourself feeling that emotion. And when other people don't see you feeling that emotion, they get disconnected. Why? If you never laugh and you're never mad, being laughing and mad, it's normal in real life. Girls, we have been mad with each other and laughing with each other, and that's what makes us a better team, because we hold our expression in our sleeve. But if we don't have those emotions to express what happened, we'll be like, what the heck is with that person? I don't know what is going on with you. You're telling me you're happy, but you're showing. You tell me you're mad, but you're showing. And kids are the one who having the biggest problem. Like, Mom, again, I don't know what is going on. At least, Janine, your kids know that you're mad because you're expressing and showing your face. Imagine kids where the moms doesn't have blank canvas. Michelle, you're an artist. When you have a blank canvas, like whatever you put there is about you and not about the black canvas telling you what you need to do with that.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, that silence is weird.
One with Lena, I think. Bradley, John Eaglefeather. Bradley actually does a lot of web work for me and a lot of design.
Great work, Bradley. By the way, the video you did about us, can we stall it?
I love that.
Okay, legally, can we legally stall the video you did for us? It's amazing.
Yeah, I want to put it on our website.
Yeah.
The Profiler, taskforce.com. It's awesome. Good job, you guys.
Well, thank
Massive
you.
talk.
He did the thumbnail that you guys are in right now. We'll go with Lena first. What are your favorite true crime stories?
So I don't have a favorite person, if that's what Bradley's looking for, but I love Dateline, hook, line, and sinker, anything where the crime is unsolved, because I just want to get in there and solve it. There's so many things right now where, oh, it's left here and nobody's, missing evidence, whatever it is, or we don't have enough evidence to convict so-and-so. That's when I'm like, I want to call these people up, hire me, just let me come and do what I do. I will get a confession from you. I will make you tell the truth. But yeah, gosh, cold cases. I love working cold cases too and helping out. Police departments will come to me and it's all, I don't charge them. It's pro bono. I train a bunch of law enforcement and they'll come up to me on breaks and say, hey, listen, I've got this scenario. What do I do? I'm like, well, let's hash it out after class. And I'll sit with them and I'm like, all right, give me everything. What is the personality type? What have they said so far? Let me do that. And we come up with this huge plan, elaborate plan, and they just go to town. So
Lena, didn't you help on a cold case of a dead baby?
So I've helped on not the dead baby. The one I just did recently was with HBO, and I'm not 100% sure I can talk about it.
Oh,
and Michelle actually knows it.
Yeah, I worked on it too. We're not allowed to talk about it yet.
I can't. Yeah.
Well,
Anything else, Michelle, that you can't talk about?
Yeah.
We will talk about it eventually.
Oh, 90% of the things that we have done, Eric, we cannot talk about it. That's the reason we are where we are.
And that has nothing to do with forensics.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Thank God Facebook wasn't invented 30 years ago. Let's put it that way.
I don't know, like Janine, what's your true crime? Do you have a favorite, people that
my favorite true crimes are anyone where the main suspect is doing a million interviews. Like, I love those. I'm like, please do more. That was really good. Eric had
Drew Peterson.
Yeah, so Scott, Drew Peterson.
Oh my God, Debbie
Jody Arias, Chris Watts. So Jody Arias, if I had to pick one, was probably my top crime. I went into the courtroom, and Jody Arias, if you're not familiar with that case, slaughtered her boyfriend Travis Alexander, stabbed him numerous times, including in his head. Man, he was tough. He didn't go down quick. And she took pictures along the way throughout the murder. Took the camera, took the little card, the little memory card out, put his camera in the washing machine, turned the washing machine on, but the FBI were able to pull pictures even though the little memory card wasn't there. It was like the smoking gun. And I was weighing in on Dr. Drew used to have a show at night, and I was pregnant. They even showed a picture of me after my C-section. I'm like holding my baby. It was like 6 pounds, Charlie. But that case, I went in the courtroom, and the reason I like this case is, so Jody Arias, if someone is lying, and this is something we'll talk more about in our show, but if someone is lying and they're a powerful liar focuses on the rewards. They have an increase in cognitive thinking. So Jodi Arias, when she said, I was with another boyfriend in another state. I wasn't even anywhere near Travis Alexander. Yeah, but we have your DNA at the scene of the crime. Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but people broke in and they came into the house and they said and they killed Travis, and they said if I told anyone, they would come back and kill me and my family. Yeah, the DNA we have is Travis Alexander's blood and your handprint on the wall. I'm a battered woman. He was beating me up. I have all these recordings. Right. That's cognitive thinking. So powerful liars, which is a position of power, position of beauty. We're all powerful liars. If you tell your kids, by the way, if you have kids listening, please turn this off for the next 60 seconds. If you tell your kids there's Santa Claus, right? And your kid's like, how are we going to get presents from Santa? We're going to Graham and Poppy's. They don't have a fireplace. Oh, you didn't know? Increase in cognitive thinking. Oh, Santa, he shrinks down to the size of a keyhole. No, that doesn't happen. Your kid doesn't buy. Like, I didn't want to say anything, but like he makes the reindeers fly. He puts sparkly stuff around the house, and Graham and Poppy's house is going to float in the air, and Santa's going to come in. The kid's like, yeah, I'm not buying it. You go, okay, I didn't want to say anything. Don't tell Graham and Poppy I leave the back door unlocked. That's cognitive thinking.
Yeah, that's Jodi Arias right there. Cover story number 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, you got me.
And the more you lie, the more you have that increase in cognitive thinking. Guess what happens? The happier you become. Yeah. You would think that the everyday person would get more and more nervous because they have to come up with another idea. But a powerful liar literally gets, again, you call all your friends. Listen, I said just like they make the reindeers fly, that he spreads magic dust around the house and it floats in the air. He didn't buy it, but wasn't that a good one? Like, we're proud of our lies. So they focus on the rewards, powerful liars. They have an increase in cognition, cognitive thinking, increase in positive emotions, and literally a decrease in cortisol. So Jodi Arias is the perfect example of a powerful liar. Beautiful, premeditated.
Too, right?
What?
Casey Anthony too, right?
Casey Anthony too. I say Casey Anthony weighed 350 pounds, had one black tooth barely hanging on, should be in jail today. But we look at her and she's pretty and fit and looks fun, and we say she couldn't have done it. She's not a monster. And this is one of the mistakes. So
the halo effect, it's that bias that we put on people.
Actually, it's proven that judges, this study done in Israel, judges after lunch, they're more benevolent with people on their judges, and people whose beauty get away faster and easy with judgment than people who is perceiving ugly to the general public.
There's a correlative to that as well. Judges before lunch are harsh.
Yes, they are.
Or it goes both ways.
I always get my witnesses after lunch.
Yeah, because they're exhausted and they need a break. Yeah, and that is scientifically proven.
Bring them a bagel if you're going to court, like, here, eat.
All right, this is the question because we're running, tighter on time. I think this is important for everyone.
Did you have any chance with us?
I know.
I said the word in the beginning.
What were your favorite crimes? Michelle, do you have a favorite crime before we go to that next question?
Oh, my favorite crime. Well, I like a lot of criminals, but I have two. My favorite crime is actually Jack the Ripper. I just wrote a novel about it, but my favorite crime I ever worked on was an arson case where somebody died, and it was at a university, and all the kids got out except for one, and he unfortunately died. And they had no idea why they had an arson in this dormitory. And a young woman who was in that dormitory, her parents got a letter, and it said, and I won't repeat the whole thing, but it said something, and I'll make up the name. Sorry that poor kid had to die. The fire was meant for Susanna. And if it's the last thing I do, I'm going to come with a knife and get her in an alley. And so then we knew the case dealt with this girl, Susanna. We didn't know why. There was also writing on the parents' house. And there was something in that writing that made me believe. I did a profile of the person. They didn't have an idea who could have written this. It fits somebody in her background. And anyhow, then I matched handwriting samples of his to the writing. And we did go to court. But what he actually said was, I didn't mean for anyone to die. I thought if I did this fire and I scared her and I wrote this scary letter, that she'd be really scared and she'd come running to me and I'd protect her and I'd be her hero. And so the reason he did all this was because he wanted to make her fall in love with him. So, there's all kinds of, there's the cases that everybody knows of and the smaller cases, but there's always, like Janine said earlier, a story behind the story.
Sure. Well, not most, but there's a good number of arsons that are started by firefighters. It's a pretty common thing.
Right.
So,
Okay,
this is a good question for everyone. And if you guys could each go to give a tip or something, I think this would be helpful. As a newbie, this is Mario Greco. As a newbie to the body language, what do you recommend the best starting point for learning your great skill tactics so it can be applied in everyday real life? Your wisdom is an asset.
The Profiler Task Force. No brainer. Yeah,
we got it.
Our
Profiler Task Force.
So it's the only place in the world that you're gonna find all the behavioral places, all the behavioral branch of this field. And beside the joke, if you wanna be good in this, one of the reasons that everybody does a little or more is like you have a strength. That mine is face reading and forensic analysis. I use micro expression and body language when I have the person in front to corroborate where other things happen. But you cannot do a cake only with eggs. You need all the ingredients. So one of the things that we have as a team is that you have the 4 bigger, strongest branches in human behavior. So if you want to become good in what we do, and you want to become really good in using your normal life, do not go for one branch. Go for all of them, because a whole make you a one perfect. So I would say listening, but be careful who you listen to. Check the credentials, check where they're coming from. It's a lot of charlatans out there. Everybody have their own business. I'm not going to be naming people, but check the credential, check who they are, who they work with, because once you put something that is BS in your head, taking it away to get a space to a good one, that can be difficult. So again, the Profiler Task Force, going to be a good place.
Every Wednesday night, starting in October. Wednesday, 9 to 10 p.m. East Coast.
Yeah, October 7th, right?
Whatever's our first Wednesday.
Mine is 8. Yours is 9.
East Coast time.
Okay.
I'm a Central Side. I'm in Chicago.
Okay, we
Michelle.
got that question. Give us the next. What's our next? Any
Okay.
other questions?
You see, Michelle is a
Oh,
timetable.
there's plenty of questions.
Okay, let's get to some questions.
Harry Bates, can you each talk about an experience where using your skills has helped you see the good in humanity? How do you keep from becoming cynical whilst being able to decode everything?
Can I?
Good question.
I do something that is really near to my heart. Once weekend a month, I'm teaching a cohort in the south side of Chicago. And one of the things that I went to that is because the CEO is 32 years old, never went to college, African American, and he needs to feed his family in order to make it. At the age of 31, he became the CEO of one of the biggest and more successful nonprofit on the West Coast. So when I read his story, it says, like, dude, I want to be with you. I don't know what you're doing, but I want to be there. And one weekend a month for the last 2 years, I've been going to Southside. Sometimes they steal my tires. I need the police to get me out. So the most happy place is where I find email says, like, you know what? I was living with my family in one-room apartment, and now I'm working for Merrill Lynch. I couldn't have done it without you. I'm the same person, the same interview, but it changed is how I read people. I'm going to be good at my job. I was before. My mistake was I was talking how I want to be talked, now how the people need to be talked. The only things that make me cry in the last 2 years is every time that I receive an email on those. So everybody think about what we do only like, oh, we're going to catch criminal, but nobody think about the people you can help to get out of the really shitty situation that all of us has been through to get to the next step. My proudest moment are those emails. And I know I'm going to get it sentimental or mushy, but those are the things that in my career, 28 years, are my trophy. Not the ones I held on my freaking wall, are those emails that I keep to myself and like, yes, you made it. You wasn't a statistic to be a failure. The same way I wasn't a statistic to be a failure. You know what? I proved them wrong, and I help you to do the same. That is my win goal. That is my finish line.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
What
So
about
sorry.
you, Lena?
I could give an answer. I'll just give a short little answer. I'll give you a good story. I years ago, I used to do more entertaining. I still do. And then people would give me their handwriting, and I'd say something. I don't know what I would say about everybody, but I try to make it nice and quick. And after the event, there was a young woman, and she was crying. And I'm like, why are you crying? And she said, you said something. I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. What did I say? And she said, you said, I'm very bright and I'm trying to please everybody else. And I believe I should prove to people how good I am. But all you really want to do is help others. And she said, I'm a high-powered attorney. I did went to Harvard or wherever and got all perfect grades. And everybody expected me to be an attorney, but all I really ever wanted to do was be a social worker. But she thought I would disappoint my family. And until you said that, I would never admit it out loud. Well, lo and behold, I didn't know her that well. I didn't know her at all, actually. And I said, well, good luck. I went to a Starbucks maybe 3 or 4 months later, and there she was reading a book. And I said, oh, what are you doing? Remember me from the party? And she said, yes, I went back to school. I'm going to be a social worker. Mm-hmm. And so my little bit changed her life, and she wound up being a social worker. And so there's a good little story of how it helped. And being cynical, well, I'm a little cynical, but I think actually knowing as much as we know helps me it gives you a tool. So you analyze people, you go through the world not as afraid because you kind of know a little bit more than other people. So I actually think it makes you less cynical. And Janine, do you have a story?
Well, for me.
Oh my God, Janine, I'm sorry. Somebody make you cry.
Well, I'm a crybaby. I cry all the time. But
we love you for that.
You know, my story, thanks to Michelle, it just made me think is I wrote this book, You Say More Than You Think. And I wanted to prove, can I actually teach you to be better at reading body language? So I put out this alert into the DC area, anyone who's taken my class, and a young woman in her 20s named Manoa signed up and took my class. And I did it over a series of several months, and I taught them these different techniques, and we'd all come together. We'd be at my house, out in my porch in my backyard, and I'd teach them these techniques. And this young woman, Manoa, over the series of a couple months, at the end, I think my superpower, some people think it's not a superpower, but is I'm very vulnerable. I share way too much shit about me personally, professionally. My husband and I are separated. I have 3 kids. You'll hear me talk about my mom and me. And I say that I was molested as a kid, which is true, and by a neighbor. And this guy tried to, I just put it all out there, whatever's happening, financial crisis, like whatever. I just put it out there. And, some people aren't like me, and I get it. We're just not each other's people, right? That's good to know, as my friend Andrea would say. Andrea, I'm forgetting her last name, but Andrea, oh shit, I'm forgetting her name. Anyway, so Andrea Quinn. So anyway, this one woman, because I'm so open and I share so much, she felt safe to share in the group that she had been raped, and she has a sexual transmitted disease that she's going to have for the rest of her life. And that before I sent out that email to be part of the book, she was going to commit suicide that day. She received this email to be part of the group. I selected her, and she came, and she said, my openness and my vulnerability, where I get it wrong more than I get it right, and then I'm constantly this eternal student and always learning, she said, allowed her to feel safe to tell her story. And today, this Manoa, who's in my book, she told her story flat out in the book. She now coaches victims of rape who have sexual transmitted diseases. And so I get emotional about it because a lot of people will say I shouldn't share as much as I do. Okay, that's not your path. All I can be is the best version of me. Yeah. And if me just being me can somehow prevent someone from doing something that was forever, a permanent solution to a temporary problem, my mother would say, that's a blessing to me. So that to me is, that's just who I am. It's less about my body language and more about me being okay with me being me. So
we gave you a hug.
So for mine, it's real simple. I talk to a lot of people who do a lot of bad things. And one particular, I'll never forget, because he finally confessed to me, and it was work. It took like an hour, but he finally confessed about doing this bad thing. And unfortunately, I can't say anything more about it. But after he confessed, he looked at me and he said, "You know what? Thank you." And I thought, "Why are you thanking me, buddy? You're going to prison." And he said, "Because you felt like my therapist, and I finally feel like a human being and got rid of all that."
Okay, before we close, I want to clarify a few things.
Sorry. Patty's question. Patty.
Yeah. So, we are 4 brains. We can help you to take care of your loved ones and everybody around you. We're going to have fun between us with you, but doesn't mean that we are not going to be taking every freaking case seriously. We're not only about serial killers. It's about the simple things like everybody have shared. And our proudest moments has nothing to do with the cases who make the media. All of our cases are the cases who make near to you. So being a profiler doesn't mean that you are badass women out there. It's the people you can help that nobody make the media. So if you can learn in this show to be a better person with the person next to you, to your neighbor, and protect everyone, I personally think the show is done. That's my biggest gratification. And that's the reason we came together. Not to be the badass women, like that is part of the joke. This part of the thing that you're going to see, that, the profiler task force. But at the end, everybody was cheat, lie, betray. Why? Because we never think that we're sleeping with the enemy. And when people says, how you can teach me how to be so good if you was betrayed? Well, I'm going to tell you what. The devil know for being old and being the devil. We have been betrayed. We have been BS, and I'm not going to use the F word, but you know what I mean, because we didn't look next to us. So if you can learn from us to not repeat the story, but repeat the story in the good way, to do good outside, I'm done. Thank you very much.
Cool. Next one going. This is for Michelle from Christine H. Michelle Dresbold, what does writing triangular letters and numbers mean?
Triangular letters, like an A? Well, I would think it would mean that you like to build things, and when you look at handwriting, we think of an architect, they make an A just like that, and they might put angle numbers. Those are people who like to build things, make things, construct things, create. So it's in a little bit unusual, but it's structured. So they're creative in a structured manner.
Okay, and I'm wondering, this kind of rolls with it because it's for Michelle as well. And okay. I'm wondering if we should do something like we did with Susan. Is there a way to submit handwriting to you? And I'd love to bring you on if we had people who wanted to submit handwriting. I don't know.
I'm more than happy to do it for you, and I'm more than happy when we do our profile task force show. So you can submit it. We can figure that out. Whatever works is okay with me.
Cool. Now this one is, I'm taking back what I said about commentary, but it really caught my attention. And it's kind of for all of you, handwriting is in here, but Lisa,
can you read it? I'm blind.
Yeah, read it out
will.
loud.
Let me do it. Let me read it. Lisa Chappelle says, like I seem more angry, direct, annoyed whenever I speak Russian, and so I notice my handwriting changes accordingly with each language. So what I'm taking from that is, because I'm sort of interpreting this, do you see that in your studies that culturally switching, and this might be a good Susan question, if you're in Italian mode, or if you're in Argentinian mode, or American mode, do you shift, and Michelle as well, obviously, does the handwriting shift too? Because I'm a big believer in culture being a driver of our personality, kind of like Janine mentioned earlier, which I relate to CBT, the external pushing the internal.
Well, only to give a fast track, I was the daughter of diplomat. My mother was from Austria. My dad was from Calabria in Italy. They were diplomat. I was born in Latin America. I studied in Europe and I live in the United States. I'm a fruit salad, but it's a good point. So I teach a lot of cultural difference, cultural intelligence. So symbols that in Brazil, you do that, I'm calling you gay. So I'm going to punch your face. So you need to be really careful cultural-wise. So it has to do. If you're drinking or you have been with somebody from the nationality between your age of 2 and 7, when you develop your language, you're going to absolutely change your accent. It's happened to me that sometimes I hear interview like, what the heck I was saying? Like, oh, I forgot I was talking to my mom before. So cultural has to do. The best way to understand your culture is like who you have been talking to before you jump to a meeting when you need to switch your head. It's nothing wrong to say like, my culture is different. Can you explain me how your culture works and how I should be approaching to you? It's nothing wrong with our culture. Actually, it's maximize us. The problem is the person you have in front of you. So acknowledging like, I'm dyslexic, I was born in South America, I have a huge accent, but how many people of you speak 4 languages? So don't think I'm dumb because I have those things. Just help me to help you so we can understand each other. So I think putting the different out there, and for example, when I'm pissed off, I curse in Italian. Don't ask me why. I was born in South America. I pissed off because my grandmother cursed in Italian. So I have that idea. So curse in Italian, people are like, what the heck? I talk to my cats in Italian. They're trilinguals. They're no more languages than my neighbor. So be aware of your context. And I think acknowledging that and telling people around you, work-wise, personal-wise, is nothing wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with you coming from. It's who you become today.
So I know when I speak German that people around me are like, Lena, you sound so mean. And I think to that question, it's if you're trying to mimic how that culture sounds, you may take on another persona. Michelle, what do you think about that?
I know I'm sorry. When I speak French, I'm much more romantic. So.
No, je ne sais pas français, hello.
But
Janine, comment ça va?
I was going to answer something about the handwriting and that people.
Where'd you go? Ah.
No, she's not.
Okay, no. Lena, wait, Janine, it's your turn because she's
I don't speak another language.
I
don't speak another language. Pass.
Oh, you
speak Janine and you speak emotions. That's your 2 languages.
All right, Michelle,
I'm back. I was going to say, people say to me, can you analyze handwriting in other languages? And I say, I have to. I mean, that's part of what I do. And they go, well, you're influenced by it. And I said, well, we are influenced by our culture. If you're brought up in China, if you're brought up in France, if you're brought up in Italy or Colombia, there are things about your culture that are part of you. Mm-hmm. And the more you keep that culture in your handwriting, the more your culture is important to you. But every language has a writing style. That writing style reflects the people. So it's a little like we said before, your body is your brain. And the way you write affects you and affects a group of people. And within that grouping, you have to learn, you have idiosyncrasies. Example, and this is, I don't know if this is answering the question. Example, if you study Nigerian handwriting, they make like these little dots all over the place. And you have to know what that means and why it's in their writing. And French writing is very curvy. Remember I said I can mean, nobody gives me a chance, but I could be more romantic in French. And if they have that curly romantic writing.
Michelle has to do with the accent because, for example, Spanish, Portuguese, and French and German, they have 5 tilt and accent that English doesn't have. For example, the romantic languages, they have accent and they have circle on top of the U, for example. If you have a U and you put 2 circles, it have a different meaning. So that modify how you were reading people? Sorry, Eric.
It doesn't modify how I read the people, but it actually modifies the people.
Okay.
So, example, different writing, like Germanic writing, if you look at it, is more angular. They're more structured people. Look at if you ever look at Asian writing, even if they've been in the United States for years, there's sort of like, I can always tell when I see a sign. We have a big Asian community where I live, and I always know it's an Asian store that says closed or open. It's just a very subtle, very delicate writing. And so you are part of your culture. You are, even if you say, I reject my culture, it's still part of you. It's still how you got brought up. And they say that the language you learn affects you. Example, there's, you know how like in Chinese, I think it's Chinese, they can't hear an L sound that we can hear. There's sounds they say that if you're brought up with certain languages, you actually develop more parts of your brain that are good for math and music. And there's reasons why different cultures of different languages excel in certain things. And they believe language has a lot to do with it. And handwriting also has a lot, reflects that. I would like to say that. So next question.
Yes.
You see, Michelle, it's in time of the timer.
I'm gonna give it to Lisa again because I kind of hijacked her side conversation to grab that. But did getting better in reading human behavior ruin some of the relationships with your family members or significant others?
I'm single for a reason.
No, not me. My family jokes about it. They think that I can't do any of it. So I always tell people, choose your battle. Like, I know when you lie to me, but if you're lying to me to make me happy, so what? You know, I'm not going to battle. Choose your battle, right? If you lie to me to hurt me, then we're going to have a problem. But if you're just lying to me to make me feel good, it's all right. I'll let it pass.
Everybody like that. Everybody like to be liked when you make you feel better.
All good. It's all good.
Social lubricant.
Definitely. No. Oh, by the way, no society can survive without lies. And I know a lot of people find me with it. But sometimes your friends come to you and say, like, how was your day? Oh, great. Like, okay, tell me when you want to know. Or your partner have a horrible day.
We don't want to hear it.
Right?
Half the time we don't want to hear it. I mean, the truth is that, how are you? I'm fine. Thank you.
So you need to pick your battles. I agree with that. And I think, I don't know, girls, but one of the biggest battles we have is like separate the profiler who is really good at your job and like, okay, I cross the door, I come home, like how am I going to manage my family and my partner? Like
it's hard.
Separating the profiler from the person who needs just space, a glass of wine and take a shower and go to play Nintendo. And you're like, honey, when you're ready, just let me know. If you want to talk, I know you have a shitty day. I just can see it. If you don't want to talk about it, I'm acknowledging. But make that line. The line is like, it's like when you change the password, it's like going to Mexico to the United States. One day you lost the password and you don't know how to do it. But I think that's the most difficult part to do.
Yeah, I can't. Sometimes I get accused of interrogating my significant other, but I can't help it because it's how my brain is wired now. And immediately, if I think there's more information, I'll start going into my interrogation techniques. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I got to stop.
But
and yours is on the law.
But what?
Isn't your husband a former spy?
He
That's
is.
what I'm saying. He knows the truth.
But he'll be like, don't pull that interrogator shit on me. I'm like, but babe, you're trained.
That's why he said, don't pull it on me, because
Yeah,
he's
right?
trained.
I'm like, well, listen, for me, I had a mentor that changed my life. He's a multimillionaire. He would call me at 5 a.m, which is crazy because I'm a night owl. And he lied to me about an employee of his. And there's 4 different types of lies. There's the pro-social, which is you say to your grandmother and she's in the hospital, am I dying? You go, no, grandma, they found some new medicine. You give her hope, right? I say hope is the antidote to fear, right? So you give your grandma hope, or you don't look fat. I don't want my husband to say, when I go, do I look fat in this outfit? I don't want him to say, no, the fat makes you look fat. It's nothing to do with
You don't miss with perfection. That's what your dad says. Don't miss with perfection. No, right. Remember?
You remember that. So there's a pro-social lie. On the opposite end is the anti-social lie. So a pro-social lie is I lie, you get a benefit from it, I get nothing from it. Antisocial means I am causing you pain and I get nothing from it. That's like me saying to Lena, your husband's cheating on you and I saw him hooking up with someone in the bar. I get nothing from that, but I cause pain to Lena. So pro-social, antisocial. Over here, next to the pro-social is a lie that is called it's self-enhancement lie. Like think of a woman getting breast implants. Janine, I love your sweatshirt. Oh, thank you. I got it at Macy's for $250 when I bought it at Target for $9.99, or the opposite, right? So it causes no pain to someone else and no gain to someone else, but it makes me feel better about myself. Then the 4th type of lie, which is down here next to that antisocial, which is right here, it's the selfish lie. So my boss says, Janine, you and Michelle are killing it on this project. And I go, listen, with all due respect, Michelle isn't doing shit. I'm doing 90% of the work. So I cause pain to Michelle and I get a reward. So when we say everyone lies, they do all lie. It just, to me, I say, if you lie to me one more time I'm out of this marriage, well, you better friggin' leave, because they're gonna lie to you. There's 4 different types of lies. So I always say, as long as the lies are hanging out over here and the pro-social and the self-enhancement, these I can forgive. But down here, if too many of these happen, this, selfish lie and antisocial, it's not gonna last. So my mentor was down here because guess what? He lied about someone else, tried to hurt her reputation. I had already talked to her, so I knew the truth. I gave him a chance to come clean. I give people an opportunity. I say we all make mistakes. If we had a 3-hour show, I'd fill it with 3 hours worth of mistakes I've made in my life. Just don't make the same mistake twice. My mentor, Jim Kavanaugh, taught me. We all make mistakes, just make the same mistake twice. So if you apologize, you lied, and you say, listen, I lied, I was scared, I didn't know what I was thinking, I'm so sorry, and you come clean, I'm likely to forgive you. But they say, burn me once, shame on you. Burn me twice, shame on me. After 2 times, you're out. I say I kill you off dead. You're out of my life forever. So I give you a shot, but you have to make it right. And I gave my mentor, this guy, I gave him a shot. I go, you and I both know I used all my weapons, all my tools, and he didn't come clean. And I said, you and I can no longer stay in connection. I can't have people who aren't willing to own their side of their shit, like their side of the street. And I'm sorry. Thank you for all you've done for me. You're just not my people.
Sometimes you stop caring about people, not because you don't care. It's because they stop caring. So it's a self-preservation. And that's what people don't understand. Sometimes you need to cut people from your life because they're hurting you, even though you love them with all your heart, because you have a past story with them. Maybe the story have an ending and you need to start a new one. And that's one of the things that we're going to teach people, like when it's the line that when it's hurting you more, it's like the mask on the plane. When you have a mask coming from the roof, you need to put it first, because you cannot save anyone if you don't save yourself first.
Right.
And I think that we learned that not from being profilers, from living life with all of the late 40s, let's put it that, late 50s.
Late 30s. No,
late
joking.
30s. So we know from both, from being profilers, from being burned out, and from being adult. So we can help you to do it better. And by the way, all of them we have been BS in some point, but we can help you to do it less dramatic, less painful, because we went through, like you said, Janine, everybody happened the same. It's like you need to know where to draw the line.
Do we have any more questions?
You have to ask the question.
I love Michelle. She's
the timekeeper of the group.
No, we're gonna.
You
We're gonna
have to do this. My friends from college tuned in, and Kerry Richardson, Missy's birthday was this week. They wrote to me like 45 minutes ago saying, we have to answer Patty's question. What is Patty's question? They are our future fans. They're going to watch our
What's
show.
Patty's? We want Patty's
Okay,
question.
can I put it there? How the heck we gonna do a show in half an hour only,
We
girls?
I don't
can't.
know.
We would have.
No, you
I don't
can't.
think.
better time.
I don't
I'm
think
not-
we
wasn't a
can.
good
I don't think we
timekeeper.
can.
Yeah,
There
we
is no
can. I'll be
Patty.
a better timekeeper. Let's
What's
get
Patty's
Patty's
question?
question
Give
and
me
we're
Patty's
done.
question.
There is no Patty question. There's
There's
nobody
no-
in here named Patty.
Wait,
All
you're
right.
talking about Patty the hamburger? Oh,
Maybe it's on my
Okay.
Facebook.
You know
All right,
what?
do we have
Patty
time
might
for any
have
more
to come on our
questions?
show and ask the
We've only
question.
got like 3 or 4.
Wait, is this on my Facebook right now? Like maybe Patty put her question on my Facebook? No?
yeah,
No,
maybe.
this
Okay,
is-
what's
this
Patty
is all-
saying?
This is all on YouTube. We'll have to work it out and have you guys come back.
Eric's like,
Eric, I told you. Okay, I was
Well,
the
no, we're
only
gonna-
one who talked to my lawyer. Says, Eric, legally, if you have any psychological damage after this and you haven't answered yet, so I'm out of the hook.
All right. Well, ladies, obviously you talked yourself into a corner. You're going to have to come back because we didn't cover it all, right?
no, we didn't.
Okay,
So,
Wednesday, October the 7th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I get confused, I'm in Central. You want to know what is look like to be for profiler that just happen to be female and that help you to navigate life in a safe way. You're on the right path. Eric, personally, thank you very much for having us. I know we are all over the place, and you have been so patient. I'm willing to pay for your next therapy in order to repay for this. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
all right.
Listen, the profiler. Listen, I want to tell you one last thing is, as you can see, we give you tips and strategies in your life. So it's not just analyzing, national criminals or
Thank you,
celebrities
Deepa.
or athletes. We want to make this almost like a self-help show. And we've all been asked to do TV shows. Even now, when we put this together, each week we're like, hey, NBC wants us, CBS wants, like, we've been already, producers have reached out to us like, holy shit, we want to do a live show. And what we love about this with COVID-19 is that we get to do the show our way. We get to show up in a costume like Susan, in a sailor's outfit like Lena, all sophisticated
my hat.
artist Michelle, or me, my tomboy little baseball hat and some extensions curled up on the corner. And just keep it real. And I think today people are more attracted to authenticity than a scripted show, not to knock the TV shows. But if we ever had a show, I think it's like a Netflix or like an Amazon Prime where we just get to be us. You get to be part of our network and our community. And I think right now people are craving community, craving to be seen, craving to matter. And we all want to let you know you matter to us. We care about you. It doesn't matter your expertise. You can not even like our topic, but kind of, just are looking for a friend. Please check in with us. We love you already. We are people. We're doing this out of our love of humanity and our love of you. So please come and connect with us. We promise you'll walk away every show, not just learning something new, but something you can use within 5 minutes after the show is over.
Eric, we give you back your show. You want to say something at the end?
Thank you, Ella.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
TheProfilerTaskForce.com. Everybody needs to go visit that, obviously. And folks, if you want to see them come back here, where we can try to corner them into answering questions more directly, or you want to watch other folks like the behavior panel who've been on here twice, and they're coming back October 1st.
All together.
Please, for yourselves and for your friends, consider subscribing, consider telling a friend. This is just one example of the amazing, amazing guests that I have on here. And I want to thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing what
Thank you,
you're
everyone,
doing,
for
buddy.
putting out with us.